What's our first matchup today, Dylan?
We got Interstellar docking sequence versus Jurassic Park T-Rex scene.
So, Interstellar has gotten here by beating out Chariot Race from Ben-Hur, the Crazy 88 fight from Kill Bill, the truck and motorbike chase from Terminator 2. Meanwhile, Jurassic Park, which I have to check now, but consistently has been taking out the highest of competition, seemingly. It's beaten out the Wayman fight from Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's beaten out the first Jade Fox fight from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It's beating out parts of Helm's fucking Deep from Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Yeah.
This T-Rex, just like the franchise, will not fucking die.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good one.
How do you score Interstellar versus Jurassic Park?
6-4 Jurassic Park.
I also have 6-4 Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Taking out the number one seed, Interstellar, which...
Yeah.
We couldn't even talk about Interstellar that much because it was just, it's better. Yeah, it's better. It's just clearly better than the stuff it got up against most of the time.
I think Interstellar definitely had an easier way
than most of our bigger seeds, sure. I would agree with
that. Because I should say it's undeniable. Like, out of all the competition, it had the easiest way, honestly.
The thing is, it certainly, again, we seeded these where we only seeded the number one seeds, and we seeded our worst 8 for play-in games. Everything else is randomly seeded.
Yeah.
So, Jurassic Park goes up against fucking Murderer's Row over here.
Yeah.
Later, Fellowship of the Ring has taken out some really good competition, as has Ghost Protocol and some other stuff here. But yeah, like Interstellar, it got the winner of a bunch of close matchups in its Sweet 16 round. So now it was kind of, you don't want to say sleeping giant because it loses here to Jurassic Park, but I mean, this is an incredible... Quickly on Jurassic Park, what gave you the win? Is it the variety once again?
Variety, and also... I was going to say the mixture of practical and, like, early visual effects that are, like, incredibly impressive.
Yes.
But I'm sure there are practical elements to Interstellar. I don't know what parts are.
You can't tell, but
it's hard to say.
In a Christopher Nolan movie, you can be rest assured there are somehow practical effects somehow.
Yes, I know at least parts of Interstellar are. I just don't know what sequences are. That's the thing.
Right.
So that gave, because I know what parts of Jurassic Park are practical.
Yeah.
It's very easy to tell.
It's pretty much everything except the fucking T-Rex in some shots. Like
any shot where it's a full body of a T-Rex, that's gonna be CG.
Yeah.
So, that really kind of helped me decide. Was that
again? I said this a bit in the Sweet 16. There are matchups here, and to me, this is the ultimate matchup. Of one scene does something so incredibly well. Just one thing or two things that it does so well that it's undeniable that it's going to keep rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Until it gets up against something like Jurassic Park, where it does virtually everything really fucking well.
Yeah.
The only, I would say, only thing I think Jurassic Park is weaker than is it doesn't have... I don't think it builds the same amount of tension. It's damn close.
Yeah.
And the music pales in comparison. But
it gets to a higher peak, Interstellar does.
Yes.
But it doesn't have the same amount of tension in terms of a build-up.
Yes.
Really. Because what Interstellar's really good at is immediately you know the stakes. Like, you know what that scene is about.
Yeah.
like they clearly define like, oh, okay, we need to dock this thing into that thing. And then you immediately you're like, okay, I understand what's going on. This thing's spinning and we need to spin our ship so it can go into that.
Yeah.
And I mean the shots where like you slowly start seeing that they're becoming an equilibrium.
Yeah.
That shit's awesome. I love that stuff.
That's the thing is, it's the reason why Interstellar is a flawed film.
Oh yeah.
It's a reason why so many people still say it's their favorite Nolan film. And like Nolan has had, in terms of blockbuster spectacle, because I would argue Oppenheimer's not a blockbuster spectacle movie.
No.
Whatsoever. That Dunkirk is a tighter film than Interstellar, and has done spectacle. Not as much as Interstellar.
Mm-hmm.
Inception is a much tighter film than Interstellar, with just as much spectacle. The Dark Knight is one of the tightest films ever made, where you and I both agreed there's not an ounce of fat in The Dark Knight. And it's just so well tied up, right? Interstellar is so flawed in comparison to those films.
But I think if you ask Christopher Nolan, he would say it's not.
Right. But you have Interstellar, in comparison to those films, is very flawed. And yet, so many people will go, nope, that's my favorite. I love Interstellar.
Mm-hmm.
Interstellar is a streaming giant. When it's always in commercials for streaming platforms, if they have Interstellar, they're always going to put it up as like, we got Interstellar. We got Interstellar. And you're like, cool.
Also, you also have to give it credit, because anytime I've seen a scientist talk about Interstellar, all they do is praise it for the amount of accuracy.
Yeah, and I mean, Neil deGrasse Tyson was a consultant on this film. They brought in legit people. They didn't just say, well, let's look up some YouTube videos and figure it out.
Yeah, no, I've seen so many videos like breaking down scenes of like just outer space stuff, space scenes in movies and stuff. Every time Interstellar comes on, they're like, yep, that's probably the most accurate thing I've ever seen in a movie. So they're doing something right.
Yeah.
Also, the other day I learned that a black hole from Interstellar, watching a scientist break it down, I learned that a black hole is actually a spherical object. I always thought it was like a funnel.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
you learn something new every day.
You do, especially when you're watching Interstellar, and what a spectacle that film is. But the peak of that film is that sequence. And it's just been ramping up, and there's all this underlying tension where you know it's gotta blow. And you know it's like watching a boiler tank. That you know that thing's gotta explode. When is it gonna explode? And for 30 minutes before that, you're like, things gotta blow. Things gotta blow. Things gotta blow. Things gotta blow. You're like, damn!
That movie has two very clear high points, where it's that in terms of the action, and then the scene where he's watching his kids age slowly.
Oh, God.
As the emotional
heart-wrenching.
Like, those are two so clearly the best parts of that movie.
Right.
Like, it is a good movie.
Have you ever heard Timothée Chalamet talk about that?
I don't think so.
So it's like the forgotten Timothée Chalamet movie, because he plays the young version of Casey Affleck. He plays his son when he's younger.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point where I completely forgot. I just saw a clip of Timothée Chalamet, and he's like, and Timothée Chalamet, at least up until that interview, said, "What's your favorite movie you've ever been in?" And he's like, Interstellar. Interstellar still says like that was his favorite movie he's ever been in. But he talks about that scene, and he's like, I thought they'd at least cut back once or twice to me, but they only show Matt. but he's just like, would have been nice to at least be in the scene.
Yeah.
Because what I'm doing is making him do stuff too, but I understand it, I get it. But he's like, but he still talks about it. I just thought that's such a great anecdote that you brought up that scene. Interstellar's incredible. What a fun movie, man. What a fun movie.
Matthew McConaughey acting his ass off. You don't really need to cut away from it. So
Talk about 2013, 2014.
he's at his peak.
The McConaissance was on fucking fire. Mud, Dallas Buyers Club, and Interstellar. He is impeccable in all three of those films, where you just go, God damn it, this guy's good. And you're used to him being he's bad You're used to him being in bad rom-coms and other shit that just never launches, and all these weird projects. And he's kind of doing that now.
You should have went for the pun there. Failure to launch.
I know, but you just have all these movies that for like 10 years where he's just not really doing anything of merit in terms of the film being all that great. And then in 2 years' time, it just explodes with 3 movies that are just incredible. That you just have to go, God damn, this guy's good.
Also, he all of a sudden becomes cool to everyone.
Yes.
And not just women who like him.
So, yes.
Yeah.
He goes from that guy we like in a rom-com to everyone's like, got a Lincoln? You got a ride. Yeah. You're like, yeah, love him. Oh, I'm excited every time Matthew McConaughey's kind of out of his fucking mind, and I'm here for it.
Oh, he's a weird guy, yeah.
But I fucking love him, and every time someone says, oh, he got cast in this, I'm like, let's fucking go, because I know he's going to do a good job. He's so damn good.
I just saw he auditioned for Titanic.
Interesting.
But he thought he had the role. It went so well, he thought he got it. But then they just never got the offer. Damn you, James
Cameron. No, I'm just playing.
I'm glad it played out like it did.
I'm sure Titanic worked just fine without him.
Yes.
It would have been better as Leo's character, Jack Dawson, is sinking. And as he sings, we want a Lincoln. Like, you gotta drive a Lincoln. That'd be perfect.
No. The funny thing is, it was supposed to be Leo and Matthew McConaughey. He was auditioning for Kate Winslet role.
Oh.
Now that would have been good.
That would have been great. That would have been cutting edge in a very different way for James Cameron. So
yes.
Jurassic Park beats Interstellar in a 12-8 victory. Woo! I think Jurassic Park's got a real chance to take this whole fucking thing. I really do. It's does good. So many things so goddamn well. And it's like you said, we said this in the Sweet 16 episode. We both overlooked this.
Mm-hmm.
Where I watched this and I was like, oh, I just gotta, I gotta get my bones back up against this one. Gonna figure this out. And I went, holy shit, this is so fucking good.
Yeah.
This is incredible. So the Elite Four spot first filled goes to Jurassic Park.